Welcome back, my students, to another episode of Comet Class. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be looking at Spawn issue 6 and issue 7, also known as the Payback storyline. And yeah, without further ado, guys, this is the issues to where we're introduced to the character of Overtkill, one of Spawn's villains. And yeah, so this is going to be an interesting story, so let's jump right into it. Let's go. So this story pretty much starts off with Overtkill basically taking on some type of army, and as the panel tells us, the dialogue balloon basically tells us that all they needed was their one-man wrecking crew. And yeah, so Overtkill is kind of like an assassin or someone that you hire to kill people. And yeah, he takes on this entire army by himself. Eventually they even use a type of like giant missile device that they were going to try using on him, but he destroys it before they can use it. And yeah, Overtkill is pretty durable, and he definitely can't be defeated by normal means. So that's pretty interesting. Now after this, we get to see that there's these guys called the 10 Dons, and we're introduced to one of the Dons basically. And this Don basically wants to hire Overtkill to basically take out Spawn. So he basically sends some of his henchmen to go kill the people in the alleyways to where Spawn lives. And basically this catches the attention of Spawn, who basically kills one of the hitman basically, and tells the other hitman that he's going to tell him what he knows and who is actually sending them after him. Now the 10 Dons all kind of like conversate with each other. And basically the 10th Don, the one that we're introduced to in the beginning of the story, basically tells the other 9 Dons if they agree to have Overtkill be hired by them to take on Spawn, because Spawn's actually taking out a lot of their men and interfering with their businesses and profits. So all 10 Dons agree that they need to use Overtkill to kill Spawn. And yeah, so Overtkill basically gets hired by the Dons and goes after Spawn, and eventually they meet up. And this leads us into a battle between Spawn and Overtkill, their first battle ever. And yeah, this is where we learn that basically Spawn has fought cyborgs in the past when he was still alive about 5 years ago. And yeah, he tries using his magical chains on Overtkill, but Overtkill kind of just laughs it off and decides to attack Spawn anyway. And eventually Spawn is able to rip off one of Overkill's arms off, basically his hand. And yeah, basically Overtkill gets angry at this and just starts beating down on Spawn, almost killing him. Now Spawn actually manages to survive, as Overtkill had gotten one of his live sensors basically damaged whenever Spawn used the plasma attack, I guess. And yeah, so he wasn't able to detect that Spawn was actually still alive and had a heartbeat. So Spawn made it out alive. Now Spawn basically gets angry at not being able to use his powers to the full extent and having to rely on them. So he actually goes to a military base that he used to know and grabs, I guess, his old equipment, that or it's just, you know, military equipment that was there. And yeah, he pretty much gets strapped up in the final page of the issue number 6. Now issue number 7 basically starts off with the army basically going in and trying to figure out who exactly has breached their artillery. And basically Spawn, before getting caught by the army, basically uses a new technique, a teleportation technique, that sends his molecules to rip apart and go at the speed of light. And yeah, basically sends it to another area and then reformates his body from scratch, basically from his molecules. And yeah, so basically we learn from Spawn that this kind of like hurts him and puts him in kind of like a dizzy state. Now Overtkill basically talks to the 10th Dawn and tells him that he's not going to be leaving the city until his arm is repaired, where the 10th Dawn says that he agrees and that he'll have his arm repaired. And yeah, basically Overtkill just tells him that the fight was a little too easy for what they had hired him for. You know, he thought Spawn went down a little too easy, and we'll definitely see them go at it one more time. Now we get to see that basically Spawn lets the guy know in the alleyway that he's going to protect them no matter what from these guys, and if that means killing Overtkill, he's going to have to do it. So he heads off to face Overtkill. Now we get to see Wanda, which is one of the things I've liked about Tom McFarlane, that he's giving Wanda a subplot and trying to figure out who exactly that man was that went to her house, who was Al Simmons, but he was in disguise as a white man, basically, even though he's black. So she's trying to figure out who that guy was. So I like this little plot point, and hopefully that she finally figures out that Al Simmons is alive eventually in the future issues. So we can see that Spawn actually destroys the entire hideout that this Tin Dawn is at, and the Tin Dawn was basically bragging that no one could even pass the second floor. I don't even know what floor this guy is on, but he's kind of like on the top floor, I believe. So yeah, the whole place kind of like destroyed, and basically Spawn tells them that he's going to tell Overkill to meet him at the Emerson Piers at midnight. So yeah, so eventually Overkill arrives at the Emerson Piers, and basically him and Spawn duke it out, with Overkill basically saying that he should have ripped off Spawn's head to make sure that he was dead. And yeah, their battle is pretty cool. They go hand to hand, weapon to weapon, I guess you could say, with Spawn using some weapons that actually can damage cyborgs, especially cyborgs that are more futuristic than what he was used to, because Overkill is actually more advanced than the regular cyborg, Spawn stated during these issues. And yeah, eventually Spawn just blows a huge hole into Overkill, kind of like incapacitating him. And after that, he basically takes his time in destroying Overkill piece by piece. And I really enjoyed this line where Spawn said, "So who's laughing now? I fought your kind before. This is where the fun comes in." He just proceeds to just destroy Overkill piece by piece. And yeah, the storyline pretty much ends with Overkill seemingly killed off. But I highly doubt that he's completely killed off, because he's a cyborg. He could probably come back. But yeah, and basically Spawn leaves an electromagnetic bomb to destroy all evidence of Overkill being here and himself. And basically at the end we get to see him leaving the explosion going off in the background, and it tells us that he's going to slip away into the night, go into the alleyways, and kind of curl up behind a dumpster and just go to sleep, a well-earned sleep for Spawn for killing this cyborg and protecting the alleyways and his friends that he has made there. And we're definitely going to be seeing his friends in the alleyways a lot more in the coming issues that we're going to be covering on the channel. And yeah, that was issue 6 and issue 7 of Spawn, guys, the introduction of Overkill. And overall, it was a really good set of issues. The Payback storyline was really well done. It had a good amount of action, had a good amount of world building, because now we know about these Tin Dawns. And since none of them got killed, they didn't show Spawn actually kill the Tin Dawn. I'm wondering if he actually killed him or not. He might have just left him alive, and if that's the case, I wonder if all Tin Dawns are going to have a more important role in the future. But that's going to be all, guys. Until the next Spawn video, I hope you guys enjoyed. Go check out the previous videos. Playlist will be at the end of this video. And yeah, until the next video, guys, God bless you, and until the next lesson, keep on reading.
I am who I'm meant to be. I am who I'm meant to be. Over and out again. My future needed clarity, so I could see how you